When you start talking about the success of Kirby Smart's staff at Georgia, it's hard to leave Todd Hartley out of this thing. This is a guy that was, I mean, Todd Hartley has worked his way up from student manager to one of the most successful recruiters in football in the college game. Obviously, I mean, I don't know how good a coach he is. I don't hear anything bad. I don't know enough about coaching to say he can recruit though. I'm gonna let you know that right now. And uh, you know, grew up in Middle Georgia. Um, was really I gotta say I think he was a pretty important part of Mark Richt's uh, transition from 7, 8, and 9 into 10. I think he went to Marshall after that, kind of kicked around that area, came back to Georgia. I can't remember all the stuff off the top of my head, but he was there that last season with Mark Richt. He was not a coach. He was I don't know if he was recruiting something. It was something in the office. Obviously, he was around the football program constantly on the field. Goes to Miami with Mark, tight ends coach Thomas Brown is down there too. And then Mark leaves Miami, and soon thereafter, Shane Beamer leaves to go to Oklahoma for the whatever I think it was the tight ends job at OU, and then winds up in South Carolina. But uh, you know, when Beamer left, there was a lot of maneuvering, but eventually, Kirby I think wanted Todd Hartley from for a while, and finally got him, and you're seeing why. I mean, uh, the proof is in the pudding. The production from the tight ends is one thing, but the depth in that room is sick. I don't know if we are ever going to see a tight end room like that, like we're seeing right now at Georgia again in college football. Not to be, I don't try to be hyperbolic. There are there are four NFL football players minimum that are in the Georgia tight end room right now, which is Delp, who just got there, Gilbert, Bowers, and Darnell Washington. Now, I'm not going to sit here and rank which one is going to go the highest, but that's a loaded up room. Then you got this guy running in your face. He got there. The thing that's so nuts about what Hartley has done is these guys don't live in Georgia, and the only two of the four guys are from Georgia. One of them went to LSU to begin with, which was which was Gilbert. But when you think about Brock Bowers, all the way across the country, could not be further away from Georgia than Napa. This guy comes on the scene and dominates. I don't know if he was the SEC Freshman of the Year, but he should have been. I think Bryce Young might have been considered a freshman because he's a redshirt freshman. Maybe that's what it was. But Brian Bowers was sick. If you want this, all you have to do, you can order it below. The number one value, the best way to get that copy for free is by ordering DAWGSTRUCTION. Get this today. Don't let these run out on you. That happens, y'all. And we have had quite a bit of run on these. So get these while you can. The link is down below. I don't know why Hartley has done so well. Besides, he's extremely energetic. Uh, he must be a pretty hard worker. Although I wouldn't know how to work with him, so I couldn't say that part. But pretty relentless. Um, what's the word? So here's the thing. So he was definitely involved in the recruiting of Carson Beck, no question. I go to a Prince Avenue game. His kids go to Prince Avenue. Here's this guy. He's at the Prince Avenue game, Todd Hartley. This guy is everywhere. And in Prince Avenue, obviously, is where Brock Vandegrift went to school. I never saw him at a Rabun County game, but I wasn't at a ton of Rabun County games, just like three or four. But there must be something about him that you can trust him when he says something. Not aware of a tight end transferring yet while he's been there, but I could be wrong about that. That's not the point. The point is, when you have a room the way he does, let's just say three guys. Let's leave Oscar Delp out of it. When you've got the three guys that he's got, convincing them to stick around in order to play and not be the guy. I mean, Brock Bowers may be considered the guy in theory, but I mean, that could change this year, and that could change. I mean, you never know when Darnell becomes full on beast mode. Gilbert is a. That's the other thing about the guys that he's got. These guys are not. I think tight ends to some degree. I was thinking about this the other day. There was a tight end room at one time when you had Larry Brown, who was a 4-year starter in football and a 2-year starter in basketball. Jermaine Wiggins, who went on to play like Larry in the NFL. And then you also had Randy McMichael. Now, Randy was young. And that group was there together for like a year. It wasn't very long. That's a pretty good tight end group. But those guys, I think maybe Randy McMichael, those guys were just like really big guys that like Larry. I know Larry, okay? Larry's not like these guys. No, you were not like those guys. You were really good. You were not like these guys. These guys are something's happened in the water lately with tight ends. Maybe specifically the tight ends at Georgia. But you've got guys that are like shorter than Kevin Durant barely and are just running around out there like they're this is exaggeration, like they're Terrence Edwards, I mean, like it's crazy the athleticism of post 2000 tight ends. These guys are not going to be Gronkowski, or maybe they might be though, man. I mean, just being straight up, these guys are some freaks now. They are the real deal, and maybe it's the offenses that have changed and have really opened up things. Maybe we're more creative with the tight end, with the spot that is tight end. Maybe the tight ends are just more gifted. I think that's some of it. Just being honest, but it's a combination of all those things. And what you're seeing now is Georgia is saying, "Hey, and we need to identify the most athletic big men in the country, and we need to go get those people." And then they've cornered the market on it. I mean, they have two more really gifted big guys. I mean, uh, Lucky's father and uncles, these guys were linebackers and centers at Georgia. Now this guy's out there running around, playing tight end. It's just different. This generation of tight ends is different, no question. And maybe in a different world, Darnell would be playing left tackle, or Brock Bowers would be an oversized outside linebacker. I don't know, but these guys are nothing but trouble now, and they're all at Georgia because of Todd. That's the part. You can say what you want about Brian McClendon's ability to get Keith Marshall, Todd Gurley, Isaiah all in the same time, and then follow that up with Nick and Sony. I mean, he had Nick, Sony, Todd, and Keith all in the same 2014 running back room. Now that is a sick room, right? It was about to be Isaiah, Todd, and Keith. I mean, that ain't bad either. So, but with what Brian has done in the past, Todd, and we could see that in the near future with Brian. Todd has, I mean, it doesn't leave you speechless, but it is pretty impressive, man. I mean, it is a spot where um, you can really damage the other team with the tight end. And a lot of old people always say, throw it to the tight end. Well, they're throwing it to the tight end now. And these aren't your granddad's tight ends. They're certainly not my generation's tight ends. Although they were good. I don't want Larry Brown or Jermaine Wiggins' feelings to get hurt. But y'all are not these guys, right? I mean, let's just let's just be honest. This is what Juan. I talk about Juan Gaston a lot. Okay, Juan Gaston should have been a tight end at Tech or Georgia or somewhere. That guy would have hurt people. He played wide end. He played wide receiver at Columbia, and he basically played badass at Columbia back in the day. As good as he was at football. Anyway, these guys are like that. They are a different breed of weaponry, and Todd Hartley is the reason why they're at Georgia.